Welcome to Life on Life's Terms, episode 41. It's Justin and
it's Kenny.
We're going to get into our sober October, being sober people that we already are. We're going to get into what we're doing over the next 30 days, how we're going to plan on doing what we're doing, and how is it kind of a test for us. And we're also going to get into what worked consistently throughout our recovery over this amount of, like, the amount of clean time that we have. And we might even get into a bit of the meditation conceptions or preconceptions of meditation, because over this month we're going to get into a lot of different forms of that. So how's your week been so far, Kenny?
It's been really good. I had a good weekend, and I'm excited to share about my 30-day challenge.
Yeah.
But I'll wait for that. I'll wait till we get to that. Yeah, it was good. I got to spend some quality time with my kids.
Yeah.
And we had fun. We had a lot of fun.
Excellent.
And I had the best conversation I ever had with one of my daughters.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about life and like finding like a purpose. And like she's only 9, and we stayed up late, and my other daughter fell asleep.
Yeah.
But like one of my daughters is more like kind of left-brained. The other one's more kind of right-brained, where she's more in tune with her emotions and other people's emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one's more about like linear things.
Okay.
The other one's kind of got like this little perfectionism type, maybe a little bit of obsessive compulsive or something, because like her nightstand and stuff, her possessions have to be organized perfectly all the time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but my other one, she doesn't really care that much, but she's smart, and she like lays it on thick to me sometimes. And she like comes up with stories, like she'll just like tell me a story about her friend that had this dog or this iguana, and the dog ate the iguana or something like that, and I have to call her on it, like, "You're lying, aren't you?" And she's like, No. And I look at her and I say, "Listen, lie to your friends, not to your dad. I can see right through you because you're me. You're my kid.
Yeah.
I know you.
Yeah.
We are the same. Now tell me the truth. Are you lying?" "Yeah, I'm lying." And I have to give her shit for not lying to me, because I tell her, like, I'm here, but I don't give her shit like angrily.
Yeah.
I explain it to her like, "Listen, like, I'm your friend. You can always come and talk to me. We're on that level. I'll never throw you under the bus. I'll never punish you for anything like violently or out of anger."
Yeah.
And so we had this good talk, and she actually like understands, because she goes to a Catholic school, so she has a concept of God, right?
Yeah.
And I know your belief system and my belief system are a little bit different, but still
Sure.
a little bit the same, right?
Yeah.
And I just try to like speak to her more of like on the terms of like energy and how it's like in me and in her and in everything else.
Yeah.
And she like really got it.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like this huge bonding moment. She also did something fucking ridiculously stupid.
Oh, yeah.
So I went to this wellness expo.
Yeah.
And it's at the Shaw Conference Center. It's like a big event place in downtown Edmonton.
Yeah.
And at the back of it, like it's kind of beside the river. And the back of it, there's this big concrete patio with stairs that go down to the river valley. And underneath the concrete patio, there's a road that runs it, like probably like 60 feet underneath.
Yeah.
Well, like I was standing with my buddy, and the girls asked if they can go climb up the stairs and go on the patio. I'm like, "Yeah, sure, go ahead." And like I'm watching them, I could see the tops of their heads over the railing, the concrete railing. And then all of a sudden, she climbs up on the railing and runs the length of it above this road that was like 60 feet down, like a sheer like death drop.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God, man. I cussed and sweared and yelled so loud, like she thought she was going to get her ass whooped.
Yeah.
And she like came down the stairs slowly with her head down, just waiting to get it. And then I was just like, "That was so wrong. Like you could have died."
Yeah.
And then underneath it all, she had this shit-eating grin on her face. She didn't care. And my friend said to me, "Oh man, you're in trouble with that one."
You wait till she's a teen. You wait till she's a teen.
Yeah, but I had a good weekend. I had a really good weekend.
I caught my little brother smoking on social media this weekend.
How old's your little brother?
Old enough to fucking know better.
He's old enough to smoke too, though.
Yeah, I mean, this has been an issue for a little while about his honesty. He decides to lie instead of just be like, hey, I'm smoking.
Yeah.
You know? So it's very unfortunate. It was a little bit shitty when I had seen it.
Yeah.
Other than that, though, the weekend was okay. I didn't really get to doing a whole bunch of stuff. I was supposed to do a seminar this weekend, and again, nobody showed up.
Yeah.
For the seminar. I think I'm booked again next weekend for another one, but I haven't really had
a weekend yourself in a while.
I haven't had anything for me for a bit, and I'm kind of thinking with Thanksgiving and such right around, well, Canadian Thanksgiving around the corner. It's not the same as Americans, evidently. I may just hang out and relax over the weekend and get a turkey and get fat. But I can't. And why can't I? Because my Sober October thing is I have to drop 4 inches of waist in 30 days.
So wait, our listeners don't know what this 30-day thing or this Sober October thing is that we're doing.
So Sober October itself it's actually comes from Joe Rogan's podcast. So, well, if it was a thing before Joe Rogan, I didn't know about it because I've been sober before I started watching Joe Rogan. But apparently you can't read the blog, and that kind of, there is a blog at www.lifeonlifestermspodcast.com, which is entitled Sober October, and it kind of outlines what we're doing a little bit more in-depthly. I'll touch on, like, Kenny and I are both in active recovery. So he's sitting here shaking his head, yes. So what we decided was we obviously aren't going to jump off the bandwagon of the water truck and be like, fuck it, for the next 30 days, let's go relapse. So what we decided was we would basically tighten up the aspects of our recovery over the next 30 days. The one piece that we may not be doing, that we haven't been doing consistently, that we probably should. So the main focus is meditation over the next 30 days. So we're going to be talking a lot about where. So we both have things that, again, was mentioned in the meditation blog that came out about what we're doing in regards to meditation. And we'll get into a little bit about that in the next couple minutes. And then Kenny and I both picked personal things. And my personal thing is to drop 4 inches in 30 days. I've been eating out a lot because I get a lot of meetings out there. And I'm going to cut all of them out. So, and I've cut out coffee. So there's no more coffee in my world. I'm drinking tea. Coffee makes me sick every morning. And I don't know why I do it to myself. It's kind of like looking at the needle full of heroin and like, fuck it. Right? That's
well, I don't know. There's a little bit difference between heroin and coffee.
Not for me. Not with coffee. No, seriously. Like, coffee's a pretty serious drug. Really, it is. Like, it's a pretty serious drug for some people.
Well, it's caffeine, and you're getting it in your tea, too.
Yeah. And so, like, I just... No. I have different kind of... No.
Green tea? Herbal tea?
It's herbal tea, right? Okay. Yeah, shout out to Ascendant... No, what is it? Acquired Taste Tea.
Acquired Taste Tea.
Yeah, Acquired Taste Tea Company. Check them out. They're really good. That's where I get all my teas from. So I'm doing that, and I'm going to continue a 4 on. So I was doing a 3 on, 1 off. Anybody who's following the Instagram page, our Instagram is just 967, and yours is
Kenny_Cantrill, Cantrill.
And then you can also follow Life on Life's Terms podcast Instagram, and that's where all of the guests will be featured for sure, as a picture and maybe videos as the podcast is going on. Anyways, I've been talking about how I usually do a 1 and 3, so I'll do a 3-day cycle and then a 1 day off. Yeah. I'm gonna go 4 and 1, and hopefully I'll be able to achieve that goal in 30 days. My biggest thing is diet. It's not so much working out. I will consistently work out even as much as I fucking hate it some days. Like I'm just like, this bullshit sucks. And then what I do is at the end of my work, I'll be like, I so deserve like 3 naan breads. Right? or actually I have been doing this, but I think that this is kind of okay is, those, so I have another addiction. It's called Reese's Pieces deep, like those big Reese's Pieces, those king size things.
Yeah.
But I have to put them in the freezer. And I'll pace for about 15 minutes in my house waiting to eat a frozen Reese's Pieces. And then I eat it. But the sugars, I've been told, is not bad for my muscles when it's
30 minutes after workout, you're okay. Because it replenishes your glycogen glycogen receptors.
Some people will drink pop and stuff. So I want to try to clean up my diet over the next 30 days, even more so than I have been. I'm going to try to tighten that up because I'm pretty good in all the other areas of my recovery. It's just really the diet thing, and I got to get it under control. So,
yeah.
Yours?
So like I've been sober for like almost 2.5 years, except for some, what's it called, prescription marijuana.
Oh, yeah. That's not the same. Yeah.
So for the next 30 days, I'm going to lay off the weed.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that I'm really doing is I like art. Art's my happy place.
Okay.
If I'm making art, fucking nothing matters in the world.
Okay.
I'm in the zone. I feel good. And like when I make something that's nice and beautiful,
mm-hmm.
it just like touches my soul, like hugs my soul.
Okay.
So my challenge is I'm going to produce a piece of art a day for the next 30 days, whether it be a painting, a drawing, or digitally, like on Adobe Illustrator.
Mm-hmm.
Every day I'm going to create some art, and then I'm going to post it on Instagram and on my Facebook.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my.
So that'll keep you pretty accountable.
Yeah.
I think what I'm going to do is, I'll just disclose. So I'm like a 44-inch waist right now. My goal is to be at a 40. My real goal is to be a 38. But if I actually do the math and weight, that's like 60 pounds in 30 days, which is a little bit too much. I'll gain quite a bit of that back. But the real goal out of all of this is to find a healthy balance for my diet where I'm not, like I said, I've said this before, like I said, the working out is not an issue, but having been a fighter, our diets are always crash. They're crash and then carb load, crash and then carb load. And so I want to see if I can just finally find a consistent diet that I can just adhere to, and I'm not feeling like I'm fasting all of the time, and I'm not feeling like I'm feasting all of the time. I do not mind intermittent fasting. Like I shut down eating at 8:00 at night, and I don't do it again until noon the next day. Right. And I do cardio workout fasted. I do kettlebell workout fasted. I do all my boxing fasted.
You know, if you work out in a fasted state, you may burn a lot of fat, but your body, and this is what I've heard from Jim Stepani.
Okay.
Your body may go into a
ketosis.
No, like after you'll burn fat while you're working out, but then for the rest of the day you'll store fat.
Oh yeah. I see what you're saying, because it's a crash, right? Crash and then a plenish.
What he says is just get that protein shake into you before your workout.
See, but you know what I do find though is when it's with the cardio piece, so I could see that with the kettlebell stuff that I do, okay?
Yeah.
But with the cardio thing that I see is I'm fucking on it, son. Like when it's just cardio and I'm not doing any lifting of any real capacity, maybe some like 100 push-ups or something like that.
Yeah.
Then it's like, then being fasted feels better. But at the end of a kettlebell circuit and boxing, I want to die. Like I just want to die. My arms feel like they're 1,000 pounds, right? Especially, and I also do a lot of things in a sweatsuit. Like I do a lot of stuff in a sauna suit.
Yeah.
And that definitely drops my hydrogen level pretty down. So you're doing the art thing. How are you going to time manage that?
Well, I think I'm going to I'll make sure to cram it into about an hour a day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like already, and I'm just thinking like even the listeners, right? Their schedule, like if they're going to try to implement this, because I would implore any of them to go to the website and post what they're going to do, and then tell us how they're going to do it, and keep posting us to show us progress over that time. How do you plan on making sure that you square away that hour?
Well, I'm pretty good at running on little sleep, and if I have to, I will. Because I've just doing it as a commitment to myself, just to make sure my will is strong. My intentions are good. My will has to be strong. And I need to practice on my art, and that's one thing that I haven't done in the last year and a half is leverage my skill and my talent. Yeah. So some of the art that I'll do, like even if it's just like a 4x4 picture, I'll make sure it's a good 4x4 picture, you know, and then that's just something that can go into my portfolio for tattooing.
I've actually gone on binges. Like I've gone on 4 or 5 day watercoloring binges.
Yeah.
Where like that's all I'll do is just watercolor for 4 or 5 days. And I feel like I've just been meditating for like 4 or 5 days solid.
That's what I mean, bro. It's like art is the best.
Yeah,
man.
it is pretty good.
I was at this chick's house and she was like getting mad at me because I was painting a picture and she wanted to like get it on. And I'm like, beat it. I'm painting. Like, this is so good.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm going to bed. I can't believe this. Why'd you even come over?
So why is this such a test for you to make sure that you get this done every day? Like, what's the challenge behind it?
Well, it's something that I want. And, you know, when we talked about this, it was either like get rid of a bad habit, and I'm just not ready to get rid of my cigarettes right now that I recently started smoking because I'm a moron.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I wanted to add a good one, you know, like my belief system is that if you add enough good habits, you'll wean out the bad ones.
Yeah.
So this is one habit that I need to get into again because I know it's going to benefit me in the long run anyways, because I just bought like a whole bunch of new tattoo equipment and I'm ready to rock and roll.
Yeah.
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 It means a lot.
I think the diet thing for me has been a frustrating battle for a long time. So I'm finally dedicating myself to like really dive into what a paleo diet looks like, which is primarily what I've been doing lately, which feels like it's been working.
Yeah.
But I've also been running into a lot of carbs lately. So that hasn't been working. So I guess the biggest thing is change, right? Like I'm having to change things all of the time in order to figure out what's working with my diet. And that's difficult for me. I like to be able to say, okay, I'm just eating chicken this week. That's all I'm doing.
That's boring.
Right? Sure it is, but it's just one of those things. Or, you know, I've been running around doing whatever I do, and it's like, oh yeah, let's hit Subway for a veggie sub, but I will make good choices that way. You know what I mean? I haven't been to McDonald's, and God knows that I love McDonald's.
I had McDonald's last night.
But I find if I do it once, next thing I know, it's game on. It's game on. Like it's all over. I start craving it almost like it's fucking crack, right? Like I just can't stop, right? So that's why I kind of picked this, saying I really have to get this under control, or else, I mean, as much as I quit doing drugs, this is killing me. My eating habits and my health, it's really an issue. And if I don't get it under control and kind of figure something out, I'm gonna really screw myself. So I think for like Sober October #1 for us, I think these are good goals, good boundaries to kind of put together. How are you feeling about this meditation stuff coming up over the month? Like the group piece.
I'm really excited about it. Like I've been so busy in my life, and like sometimes it's overwhelming where I'm like trying to like outsource graphic design of a flyer. Yeah. Even though like it's something I can do, but you know, do I have the 4 hours to sit down and really do this organizing and come up with words for it and everything, and pictures, and make sure the color scheme's right? Like, no, because I'm busy like doing everything else, like wrapping up my college course and stuff like that. And so it's like a 3-day retreat, and I'm still waiting on the details from the place where I'm doing it.
Yeah.
But
you can drop the name though. It'd be good to drop the name. You're okay with that?
Star of the North.
Yeah.
Star of the North.
So it's in St. Albert, Alberta, and they're giving you a weekend, right?
Yeah, they're giving me a weekend, and then I like look forward to sharing it with everybody when I come back. My experience. It's gonna. I'm pretty sure it's like a silent retreat.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. Like, I don't know all the details. But they're going to have me do some like internal work in regards to like either like spiritual work or like my goals and future like aspirations and stuff like that. So I think I'm going to concoct a little bit of each, and I'm going to bring in like maybe a book or two just for if I need to like get my brain moving again, like if I'm too meditated out, at least I'll have something to stimulate something.
Yeah.
And I look forward to not having my phone.
Yeah.
That's my like big one. Like, I look forward to like no contact with anybody and just going within, because I haven't done that since I was incarcerated.
Well, then I think the other, so like I'm okay with my phone. I will check my phone. Well, you've texted me, and then 5 hours later I get back to you, and it's not because I'm ignoring. I literally am not around my phone. I'm sitting somewhere and I just don't have my phone, so I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I've decided that for my meditation piece, I'm going to at least 3 meditative sessions at the local Buddhist temple here in the city.
Yeah.
In Edmonton. So 3 times a week I'm going to do that. And when we get closer to that actual meditation piece, I'll disclose kind of the stuff that I went through doing a more formal Buddhist kind of thing. I do have a mala right now that I've been practicing with. I've been, even as a Catholic, or a practicing Catholic that is, I mean, we've always had like, I've always prayed a rosary, which is basically a content to like a meditation form itself, but you don't get a mantra. It's basically just a set series of prayers that we have, right? So, I mean, I'm not opposed to that, and I'm kind of okay. I don't really think that Buddhism is offensive towards the Catholic faith at all, but I'm sure you Catholics out there will let me know via the website, because that's what you seem to do. How the hell are you?
Assalamu alaikum.
Yeah. Namaste. So I think it's one of those things where I'm really looking forward to this piece, and we may have an extra caveat that we can't talk about yet, that we may go and experiences in another form of meditation. So what's your preconceived notions right now about meditation? Like how often have you been able to
get in the void?
Yeah.
So when I was in jail, for the better portion of it, I meditated habitually. I had a set time for it, and it was like a quiet time. It was during the 2-hour lockup at lunch.
Yeah.
And so I would eat lunch, and then it was like reading time, and I would like read some spiritual literature, or like one of the best books I ever read was Spiritual Growth by I can't remember right now. It'll come back to me.
That's okay. Yeah.
And it really talked about like getting in tune with your higher self. Another one was like the Master Key System with Charles Hannell.
Yeah.
He has a lot of like meditation exercises in there where, so like, I actually wrote about it in the book that I wrote that is unpublished yet. Yeah. But I bring it up here, and I was wondering maybe I should read it. It's about a page and a half long. It's a page and a half, and it goes in depth. Some of the material we used came from a meditation book. We just put it in our own words, and some of it's from our own experience, and gathered knowledge from other books. So I'm just going to spin it off here, okay?
Yeah, okay.
Cannot stress enough that meditation is an essential asset to self-discovery. meditation is a form of prolonged concentration of any topic, object, desire, intention, including empty space or the void. Meditation is a way of focused mind strengthening. It's a tool that everyone has and can be used in ultimate ways to progress, grow, change, or attract something you desire. This mind exercise offers you limitless ability and potential when practiced daily. Some ancients call this practice a divine communion with God. Atheists use meditation for self-realization. Some shamans use meditation for healing, as well as visiting other dimensions and universal travel. A good meditation is to practice is to enter a state of thoughtlessness. This mind space is referred to as the void and holds the potential of limitless creativity. Some people have had huge breakthroughs for ideas, solutions to current problems after time spent in the void, where the answers just come out of nowhere. A good way to stop the constant chatter in your mind is to spend time and focus on deep abdominal breaths and count them. When your mind wanders, it will simply just when your mind wanders, you simply just bring your attention back to your breath. This process will strengthen your ability to control your thoughts and enable you to enter the void. There is no set way or rules you need to start meditation. However, it is better with as little distractions as possible.
So at that, what you're basically saying is that you're trying to describe a way for somebody who's reading that to meditate in a fairly basic form, right? To concentrate on their breath as opposed to utilizing their pineal gland or mind's eye.
Well, somebody that doesn't have a knowledge base of that stuff is going to have a hard time.
Sure.
Right? Like
yeah,
you
totally
can't use something if you don't know what the hell it is, right? But if you just be, and like our minds are going to wander, and if we are the watcher of our mind, a watcher of our thoughts, we can just be aware of when we have what Buddhists call monkey mind, and it's bouncing all over. And then when we realize that and we catch ourselves, then just go back to the breath.
See,
One of the
like where I learned how to meditate the first bit. So I didn't, in that blog that I wrote, I didn't recognize that I went back far enough. So like where I started learning how to meditate was in a residential school, and that was to get over like exam anxiety. Okay. So that I could so they would get us to basically focus on gray, the color gray in our mind's eye.
Yeah.
So that before an exam, you could focus on gray, grab your breathing, just like you were suggesting. And then you would get over that exam anxiety. Mm-hmm. Okay. So that's where I first started doing that. And then when I was reintroduced to meditation, it was with the rosary. And basically what we do with the rosary as Catholics is over a decade, which is 10 beads, we'll think of like when the Immaculate Holy Mother was asked by God to conceive the child Christ, right? So over that entire time, we're actually thinking about that. And the prayer, Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb. Jesus, so loving, O sweet Virgin Mary, pray for us, O Holy Mother of God, that we may be, we may have the promise of Christ. Basically what that is like the background music to the actual meditation that we're in. So like, or what we're thinking about in our mind's eye, right? So the mind's eye is almost like, have you ever seen the movie The Passions?
No.
So the movie The Passions by Mel Gibson is an actual meditation that we think about consciously all the time as Catholics. At least twice a week, you're going to be getting that rosary done, okay? And so you are actually, in each one of those decades, you're breaking off a piece of Christ's story or his testimony, and you're thinking about that over a series of 10 beads, which is what we consider a decade, right? So the hardest thing for me to get behind being a practicing Catholic and then going in just to a meditative form. So remember I was saying, like, I'll go on a walk with my Creator about where I'm going in life.
Yeah.
And I do that in my mind's eye. That's because I'm going through that walk so that I can be of service to him through my life. Right? That's why I do that. Because what's difficult for me to do is go into a meditative form and be I am all. because I'm not all. If I think that I am all, what will end up happening is my humbleness will be completely gone, and then my ego is what takes over, right? And ego for me as an acronym means edging God out. If I become all, no longer will my higher power, the God of my understanding, be of my good orderly direction, which is another acronym for God. Right? Yeah. So that's why I do that. And now going along this thing with mantras, so on and so forth, it's just a little bit different to me, because this becomes a focused meditation on something that, like if it's patience or something, or positivity or whatever it may be, right? You're focusing on what piece of positivity you need to look at in your life or whatever. So to see that, it's a little bit different from where I'm coming from, but I think like I'm okay with it. It's just the different forms of meditation, no matter religion, philosophy, whatever it may be, what it's always coming back to is no matter what, there's a positive side to it. And I think even in the steps, if you look at the steps for AA or any of those things that any of those programs, they all prescribe some sort of meditation. One of the things that I've always recognized is that if you look at the science side to it, the reason why they're prescribing meditation is for more gray matter to be in your brain. And what gray matter essentially does is it stops compulsivity from going on, which means you're no longer a reactionary animal. You become somebody who has long bouts of thought with positivity behind it, because that gray matter is substantially more. Like one of the people that you might meet at the Star is a fellow who's been on this show before named Bishop Sylvain. And being a bishop, we as Catholics call him Your Grace, right? Because he hangs around the Star quite often. And you will notice that when he's in a room, it's real grace. Like, I'm not saying that just because of his title. I've met other bishops that just they pale and compare.
I just carries a real positive, peaceful energy with him.
He's humble. Like, to know, like, you'll look at, if you see his ring, if you get to see his ring, you'll see the papal seal on his ring, and that thing's made for him. Like, that's gold, literally banged out for his finger. Okay? And he does not look like a bishop. I mean, he goes to the same Value Village that you and I go and shop at. You know what I mean? Value Village for us is like the Salvation Army. You know what I mean? It's a secondary clothing. You know what I mean? He doesn't have to. He does because he's that, like, he gives away all of his money still. Like, any profits that he makes, it doesn't matter to him. You know what I mean? I haven't met other bishops that are really like that. And so, like I said, when you're in a room with him, it's a truly different experience entirely with him. So do you think, though, that your designation in meditation is going to change over this month? Are you expecting that it's going to be the same over the next 30 days by going on this retreat and some of the stuff that we have coming up?
I think I'll be able to get some of my Zen back, like some of my peace of mind. And I think at the end of this 30 days, I'm going to have a little bit more clarity and patience. Because, like, I've noticed my patience getting a little thinner over, like, since I got out, just because, like, I've been keeping myself going pretty hard, and I know I'm going to be able to unwind, and I'm going to be able to, like, get, like, a clear image of where I'm going over the next 5 years, and I'll have the time to, like, really sit there and just think about it, get that image drawn up, write it down, and then I know I'm golden. Once I write it down, I'm good. And like, I'm a big guy on, like, the ideal scene exercise. And, like, before you do that, it is even where I found it in one of Jack Canfield's books. He states, like, get into, like, a meditative state, relax, breathe for a while, be at peace, be calm, and then start thinking about this image that you want to manifest.
Yeah.
And, like, that's something that's a big in my belief system, is that I am the creator of my destiny, and that I can create my future. All I have to do is imagine it, right? But lots of people, and adults especially, they lose their imagination over time. They don't play the games that they used to as kids.
Yeah.
They don't have like a, you know, you get too fucking serious, and then you forget how to just be.
Yeah.
Right. And we're human beings. We're not human doings. So sometimes it's good to just stop doing what you're doing and just be. And that's what I really look forward to.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think people lose that. They can lose that immaturity. Like anybody who is
it immaturity?
Well, they lose that immaturity, that immature part of them. You know what I mean?
Or is it like who we are initially, and then we lose that by growing up into this adult society?
Well, I'm not saying that immaturity is bad.
I think it's pure.
I'm not saying that. Like I'm the kind of guy that will go to a grocery store and for sure get into a competition of who can embarrass who more. Like I'll do that. Like I'm notorious for walking up to random people in the produce section saying, "You fucking farted," and they sure as hell haven't. And I will walk, maybe even harass them a little bit and say, "Can you excuse yourself for fucking farting?" Like, why wouldn't you? Just to see their embarrassed reaction. Like just a little while ago, true story, I'm not going to say where I was, but I was buying chocolate somewhere. And they were like, "Hey, do you want this calendar about Christmas?" You know? I was like, "I'm Jewish. I'm not Jewish." Obviously, I'm not Jewish. And the only reason why I said that was because I wanted to see the reaction on her face.
Yeah.
You know, just to be like, "Oh," and then how I justified it afterwards was like, she's going to have to go and tell her boss that she just pissed somebody off socially so she can no longer talk about Christmas anymore. And I was like, yes, she just got out of a bit of her job, you know? So yeah, because they're like, "Hey, do you want to sell some Christmas stuff?" I mean, whatever. I'll say Merry Christmas. I'll say God bless. I don't give a shit. I mean, it's all within good tidings. You know what I mean? If somebody wants to say namaste to me, I mean, that's all within good tidings too, right? I mean, we get hung up on this stuff, but I agree. There needs to be time in your life where you do, like you paint and stuff. You go back to that
creative state, man.
I think well, creativity, like I play guitar, right? So
that's huge.
So when I go there, I become in an elementary mind. My mind is elementary because really that piece of equipment or that tool, that musical instrument that's on my lap that I'm playing in that moment, definitely it's meditative when I'm in the groove. And I can definitely feel, so being sober, I think we really need to talk about this as DMT and how naturally DMT comes in our mind. And this is actually what stops us from going to hallucinogens.
Yeah.
Okay. So when I get out of that state of playing guitar or being meditative or whatever I'm doing in that moment, the first thing that I recognize is I kind of feel like I'm a pothead who's kind of down. You know what I mean? When you're coming on that down from smoking a lot of weed, like you feel like a burnout a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And that's from the DMT doing that in my mind. Like that's just the extraction of it in my head. And I've come to understand that that's okay at times, but it's not okay all of the time because I'm just not thinking. I'm not on it all the time, but my thinking is definitely more elementary because I don't really think about the notes that I play anymore. My ear literally tells my hand. There's no thinking in my head. My ear is telling my hand, okay, do this after this, do this, do this, do this. And I'm almost thinking, 50 or 60 notes ahead. And I've literally been playing for 45 minutes without stopping. Not different songs, just the same thing over like for 45 minutes. Not over and over again, just like a riff or a jam. I just keep messing around with it, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, I get that, but I think that we naturally need to have DMT because it's nice to be able, as much as we get it when we sleep, it's nice to be able to submit ourselves into a realm of DMT with consciousness. You know what I mean? Like it's nice to be able to experience that. And we as addicts need that.
I would still, even as being in recovery, I would still go do DMT. Artificial. Wherever it comes from. I would do it.
I've had this conversation with somebody else before. And again, this kind of goes back to the conversation that we had off air is if it's already good, why try to make it better? Like every time I used drugs was to make a situation better. And you know what I've come to understand? I already have
the best situation,
the best filter for that situation. I don't need to enhance it. And when that is done, if that is ever done, well, then maybe I might try, maybe I might go and try peyote again. Maybe I might go and try DMT. But the reality is at this moment, I don't need an extra filter to make it better. I don't need a reprieve from life because I've already got one. And it allows me to stay in control to a degree. You know what I mean? I know that when I let my hands off the rein and allow myself to utilize drugs to make something better, what ends up happening time and time again is I goes off the rails. Like, I'm the guy that'll show up at a bar, and next thing you know, I'm sleeping in a homeless shelter all inside of 2 days, right? Like that's what, or I'm in jail and I don't know what I've done. Right? And that freaks me out too. Like, I remember consciously saying before going out, supposedly drinking with my friends, who has the bail money?
Yeah, I've just said that before too.
Like, what the fuck? Right? Like, that's not and that's me trying to run on my will, saying I'm going to make tonight better. When, you know what? The thing that I've come to believe in, such as a higher power, is already making it amazing for me. I'm already a gifted individual because I don't have to go and take things into my own hands to improve it. Being perfectly imperfect is as perfect as it's going to be, and that's okay. It's up to me to accept that. And it's nice to be able to walk into the realm of DMT and know that I'm strong enough to create that. And my creator, my God, is the one who said, here you go. Here's your time to sit on this pillow.
What about like in Vancouver, a friend of mine works at the research of psychotherapy for something like that. Don't quote me on it, but she works at a place where they research and experiment with hallucinogens, it's like acid, mushrooms, whatever, to heal opioid addiction.
Yeah. So if you look at Dr. Gabor Mate,
and they work with him.
Yeah, he uses he'll help people with I forget what that's called now. It starts with I can't remember what
Ayahuasca?
it is. Yeah.
Ayahuasca.
Yeah. So he puts them on an ayahuasca trip, but it's really what you're looking at. And I agree. I mean, hallucinogens can help change thinking pathology. Okay. And they've had great successes doing it. But what we need to recognize with an opioid addiction is that the opiate receptors are fucked.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what we need to accept. And the other thing is, opiate is the closest thing that we can get to true orgasmic dopamine. Okay. That's synthetic.
Yeah.
So what we have to think about is implicit memory. When we're talking about implicit memory, really what they're trying to get the ayahuasca to do is to be able to pry away the fact that heroin doesn't love you. That's what they're trying to do, because really what's going on is an addict has lost through what we would consider that memory state when they're a child. The deficiency that happens is when you looked into your daughter's eyes the first time you held her, you fell in love, okay? Mm-hmm. Guess what? She fell in love with you too, okay? But what ends up happening with us addicts, at some point, we felt abandonment from that feeling when we were still children, okay? Mm-hmm. That's sequential with all of us. And the other piece that complements that is also the fact that our self-esteem is low, okay? So not going too deep into it, what the ayahuasca is trying to do is to change that thinking pathology from those implicit memories from childhood. That's what it's trying to do. And the only way how that can be done is by putting them in almost like a meditative state with the ayahuasca there, in order for them to go and rectify that child who's been abandoned. That's literally what they're doing. To do that with somebody who's addicted to cocaine, the likelihood of that being successful is highly unlikely. Same thing with methamphetamine. What we need to recognize is, what is the opiate doing, right? Again, we could go back and look at people who came back from Vietnam. 90% of the people who were in Vietnam were shooting heroin. Guess what? Only 10% of them persisted with their addiction when they came back to America. Well, why is that? That's because like the other 80% who decided not to proceed with that addiction didn't have an implicit memory issue. Those 10% did. Okay? We're also looking at MDMA for PTSD.
Yeah,
like the love drug. And I agree with that too, because really what they're trying to do is they're trying to prescribe a way to taper people off of these drugs. This isn't a drug for life. And if it becomes a drug for life, I'm not for it. I don't believe that people need to be on drugs. Normal people, sure, they have 2 or 3 drinks and they're fine, and they actually enlightened the situation that they're in within a context. That's what normal people do. Me being chemically challenged, I'm not changing that. The fact of the matter is I do not metabolize alcohol like a normal person. I just don't. And I'm not going to metabolize drugs like a normal person. It's just not going to happen. Why? Because I crossed the line. And my mind tells me I don't have an addiction. And the second that it keeps on telling me I don't have an addiction, I decide to say, fuck it. I could probably get away with 2 beers. I'm done. We as addicts are the only people with an addiction that tells us we don't have a problem. And we'll fucking believe it. That's like cancer telling you, I'm not eating your leg up. Yet the delusion that you're seeing is that your leg is still there, but it's gone. Right? That's the only way to equate that. Right? Like my disease will tell me if I'm not secure with my recovery and act recovered, it will tell me in my weakest moment, you're okay, man. You're not an addict. Go check it out. Go see. And once that happens, then that line in the sand gets blurred. Then the next one gets blurred. Then the next one's blurred. And the next thing you know, I'm fucking playing with my morals again like poker chips on a table. Right? And that's where it's going to happen all of the time. If there's anything that I learned from the rooms, it's this. The people who walked away from the rooms are the ones who walk back in saying, I'm a newcomer again. The people who hung out and kept it on the side with longevity, every once in a while just come in and check in and stay to that one specific group that they really enjoy, they don't seem to come back and say, I've relapsed, right? And I just, like I said, I have a relapse in me all day long, but I do not have another recovery. I just don't. I know what kind of work it takes in order to come back into this thing, and I just don't have another one in me. Like, not going to happen, you know? So, I mean, that's my spiel about continuing. I think that's how I got 5 years.
Yeah.
You know? Like, that's
I stopped really counting the days when I started smoking weed again.
I think one of the biggest things that I, like, even in this relationship that I'm in, the person that I'm in this relationship with was counting time. I was like, I never want to count time because every day is new when I don't. If I think about 5 years,
I just don't think about it.
Scares the shit out of me, man.
I just don't think about, like, you know, like, we have a different perspective on things. I fucking hate the word addict. I never call myself an addict. I don't go to 12 steps. Like, I find my answers elsewhere. And I just, like, the stigma around it, like, we can rewire our brain. Like, it's been said. And
sure.
Like, if you just rewire your brain with new intentions to do good and be good. Like, for me, the bigger thing than drugs was my lifestyle. I was more addicted to being a criminal and a gangster and having guns and selling drugs.
Yeah, I agree.
And like, once I crushed that belief system to the ground and then rebuilt up a new belief system that the self-destructive behaviors are just not really that prevalent, other than, like,
I think one of the things that kept running me back into using on my own was that I was looking for something outside to take away the feeling of pain and what that was, because I wasn't actually in a solution to change it. Like let's just say maybe I've committed murder. Maybe I have. And to have PTSD about something that's significant in one's life, okay, would drive a motherfucker to use. That would drive you, because all of a sudden you start thinking about people crying, so on and so forth, okay? But what I had come to understand is emotionally, if I had did something like that, I hadn't actually made a solution about it. I hadn't come to a place where I accepted my actions and took responsibility. Okay? So because of that, there was no conclusion. And so as much as it wasn't drugs, my lifestyle didn't make me use drugs. What made me use drugs was because that was my solution. Yeah. Shit would get crazy, and then my solution was to go and use, right?
Yeah, guilt used to be a big one for me. I used to feel guilty.
And so, I mean, I still feel guilty today about things because I'm not perfect, and I shit the bed quite often. And when I do, it doesn't dictate to me that I have to go and use. What it dictates to me is that I have to go and tell that person, hey, guess what? I really fucked up, and I hope you can forgive me. And if you don't, well, that's okay too. I'm okay with that, right? What I find recovery and meetings have given me is that, well, like the meetings that I go to, is that I can literally handle any situation without having to back down. And I'm with it. I'm able to be amicable towards most situations. I would say 7 out of 10. And I'm not going to typically piss somebody off. And I do not have to negotiate with my own morals to say what I need to say. And everything's going to come off probably okay. And that's fine with me. And the other thing that I find is junkies use. People who claim to addiction are those who are recovering and recovered. That's where I see it, because when I first came into AA, I would say I was an alcoholic. My dad's an alcoholic, and he kicked the shit out of my mom, right? That was my identity to alcoholic, right? The reality is my dad's a drunk because he still drinks, and he doesn't go and do things in order to be somebody who is on the water wagon, or somebody who's trying to better their life or try to be recovered. In my opinion, it's a privilege to call myself an addict who's in recovery, because I'm working towards it, right? I'm being recovered every day. I'm a living, breathing, recovered person.
Yeah, but you're one of few, because lots of guys, and even guys that I mentor right now, they use the terminology addict as a crutch, as a reason why they can't deal with their shit. I can't handle that. I'm an addict, so I'm just going to go fuck everything up.
And again, one of the issues is you have to go in. Like, I deal with people like that too, even through my big book study and stuff, right? Yeah. So like, one of the things that I always say is, how dare you tarnish my word? You haven't the only right that you get to call yourself an addict is that you say that you have a desire to stop using. That's the only way you get to use that term. If you don't have a real desire to stop using, you can't be in here. And one of the things that AA, and I'll show you this after this show if you want. AA had a success rate of 75%.
Yeah, but now it's like 7.
No, it's not that bad.
Yeah, Google
but it had 75%. Yeah, but again, you got to look at those things. You can look at them all you want, as Google will tell you. Sure, 7. Okay, let's take that 7%. 7% over what? 100 million people who go in and try?
Yeah.
That's still fucking good.
Yeah, it's still a lot of people.
That's still good. And if there's anything that I can say about the steps that have changed, in my opinion, people don't do them right.
Yeah, I agree with that.
They say, take your time, easy does it, you'll get through this in a year. Well, guess what? As an addict, I don't have a fucking year. I need to know progress right now. And if I'm not seeing progress right now, why the hell am I here? Right? That's the reality. Okay? I don't have time for a set of steps that takes me a year. I need it now, because I'm going to go out tomorrow and burn that fucking bridge down. Like, that's what I'm going to do. So I need you to help me now. Right? And that's one of the biggest contentions I have with AA, CACMA, but again, that's my opinion. I don't speak for the whole as a group. I'm just saying, in my opinion, that's that's where we go wrong, right? That's why I sit down with a big book study and I give 2.5 days of my life and read all this stuff to these guys and get them to do a set of steps. And you know what? My batting average is 7 out of 10 get recovered for longer than 2 years. That's my batting average. And I've probably done more than 200 big book studies. On the record, I will say for sure I've done more than 200 big book studies. And I would suggest that 7 out of 10 get more than a year of recovery and then may relapse because they decide not to go to meetings, or they decide not to keep in contact with their sponsor, or they decide to do whatever they're going to do and they're living out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's taken me 5 years to get to a place where I can say, yeah, I'll go to one meeting a week. You know what I mean? That's how long it's taken me to get to this place, right? And I'm not saying it as a privilege. I mean, if I needed to go to more meetings, I'd be okay. If somebody were to call me and say, hey, let's go to a meeting, I'll go to a meeting. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have issues, and I don't have issues with those people. The individuals in the room are the individuals in the room. I'm just there to hear about how they got a solution out of a sickness. That's all I'm there for. I'm not there to try to identify with their story. That's the wrong place. I'm there to hear about the emotions. Like I said, between you and I, our stories are similar yet different. The only things that you and I will agree upon is that we understand what it feels like to have an emotional bottom and a spiritual bankruptcy.
And the addiction to adrenaline.
Yeah, like those kinds of things, but those are all emotion-based, right? And for us to sit here and try to quantify the value of that emotion is going to get us nowhere. The fact of the matter is we can identify what that emotion is. So how do we move on from here? Like, real quick, we'll touch on EYOC.
How was your...
EYOC was good. I'll be back. So that's the Edmonton Youth Corrections. Edmonton Youth Offender Center. That's what it is. It was good, but one of the things I said straight up, so first off, I started referring to all the guards as those fucks.
Yeah.
Right away.
You connect with them real good.
And then the next thing, and it wasn't even that. I mean, it's just, I'll tell you what, my PTSD rocked because of all the clicking of the doors and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
That fucked me up, son.
Yeah.
Like, that was tough. That was, seriously, that was difficult for me. And like not being, because they have the open concept too.
Yeah.
So there's no bubble. And to be away from like the officers thing was pretty, it was just all fucky. You know what I mean? My mind went really quick to let's get close to the wall, sit in the chair. You know what I mean? Like I started going into con mode, you know, right away. And so I saw a lot of that stuff and I put a lot of it to bay. But one of the biggest things that I said to those kids was, I was like, let's face it, your parents fucked you up. And my parents fucked me up too. So let's move on. There is no point to slug it out with something that you can't fucking fix. You're not going to fix it. You're not going to make it pay. You're not going to make it better. It is what it is. Accept it and move on. Let's move on from here. Because at this moment, you guys can all change your life. And I think, so I was called back a little while ago after that. I know there was more said, but I was called back from the person who had invited us to go out there. And she's like, I gave you the hardest kids that we have where everything just sucks. And every one of those kids who sat down appreciated what you said. They liked what you had said, and they're all hoping that you're coming back.
Wow.
So it was really cool to be of service.
I'm so jello.
It was a good time.
I'm jealous, bro.
I mean, it was a good time. The other thing though that was very therapeutic was to be able to walk into that situation with my PTSD kicking the way that it was going.
Yeah.
And know that like I'm gonna be all right.
Yeah, you're allowed to leave after.
I a couple times didn't think I could. A couple times I didn't think I was leaving, just because that's where your mind goes, right? And most of the kids wanted to know like what unit were you on and all that stuff. You know what I mean? Like how much pen time did you do? And then once you get past that shit and you're like I think, and I also disclosed to them that I was a survivor of childhood sexual abuse, which probably a majority of them are also. So that kind of like made a level playing field right away.
Yeah.
I did not identify myself as an addict. I just said, this is my story. And then I gave them the opportunity through the Junior Entrepreneurs Program that we're going to be starting. So that was a pretty big deal, right?
Absolutely. Oh, I've been in contact with the organization called the Duke of Edinburgh Award.
Oh, yeah.
And they contacted me again, and I'm supposed to be meeting up with somebody at the beginning of November.
Excellent.
And they're going to have me speaking to different youth groups as well about proposing to them that there's grants that they can get. They can apply for these awards and get money just by like sharing life stories, like a good adventure or a sports accomplishment or something like that.
That's cool.
Yeah, but they want to show that, you know, kids matter, and every single one of them matters, and they can by like applying a little bit of effort, they can reap some rewards back and just feel loved.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I think obviously the worst statistic that we see is 99% of kids are recidivists. Like that's one of the worst statistics that we see out of corrections right now, which is very, very unfortunate. I think that could be changed. Let's wrap up with the website. What's your favorite thing about the website?
I don't know if I have like a favorite thing.
No.
Like I think it's still a work in progress, and like how it is right now is going to only improve, and it's going. I like it because it's got all of our content on it, and it's one-stop shop, and it doesn't like you don't have like paid advertisements popping up like you do on Facebook.
Yeah.
And
well, and I think what I like about it is the blogs complement the podcasts.
Yeah.
Like there's the page where we have the blog and the podcast stuff. So like,
I'd have to agree with you there. The blogs for sure.
Yeah. I really like the way how they're both kind of talking to each other, kind of, you know what I mean? And then I think what the listeners would also gain out of going to go check out that blog is these are kind of our afterthoughts after the show. Like, so we always write those blogs after the show. They're never pre-written.
Yeah. It's like what we get from it.
Yeah. So I think, and then you guys can also, like any of the listeners can also blog about the blog. So you are fully able to do that. Yeah. Like you can comment on it, and you can also go to the Let's Chat app, which I like the most because you can get into direct contact with myself or Kenny on Mondays and Wednesdays between 7 and 8. And we'll talk about whatever questions you have. We'll try to answer them as best as we can. Like we said, we're always an open book, and our story is your story. So, you know, I would fully encourage any of you guys to go and check that out on the website, because I think the pictures, actually all those pictures, truth be told, is from a hike I did. Every single one of them.
Yeah, all those mountain shots.
Yeah, all of them. So that's out by Jasper and Wilmore Wilderness Park. That's what all of those pictures are. That was an amazing trip, actually, man. That was like 14 days.
Yeah,
out on the trail. Yeah.
Also for the listeners, we have a Facebook page too, and our episodes, the links to YouTube are on the Facebook page.
Yeah,
and that's like you can search it like Life on Life's Terms Podcast.
.com.
Well, if you're on Facebook and you punch in @ sign, Life on Life's Terms Podcast with no spaces, then you'll find us.
And then also for the website itself is www.lifeonlifestermspodcast.com, and you'll get all that stuff very, very soon. We just finally got the last look at what our t-shirts are going to look like, and they I have to say look pretty good. And those will probably be up on the store over there fairly quickly. We'll also be plugging that stuff through Instagram as well. So you can go to that Life on Life's Terms podcast Instagram, put the @ sign in front of that as well, and you'll find all of the posts from that, as well as our personal Instagrams are kind of connected to it as well. So you can check that out. You want to wrap that up?
Yeah.
It's the shout outs.
Well, to our lovely lawyer, Liam Connolly at Connolly Law. For all your Canadian law, will estates, and media issues, Google Liam Connolly. He's sick.
Yeah, he's a really good lawyer. You know what's really funny is he's getting phone calls now from all over the place of people saying, "I Googled you."
Yeah.
So soon enough, I think he's gonna have a website.
That's good.
But thanks for. I hope
hey, you guys are part of the Pride. All of
sure.
you. If you're listening to this right now, you are one of us. You are part of the Pride. We are in the same mastermind group. Whatever you need, we are resources to you. You can connect with us.
Yeah.
We can network.
And this is the first episode of Sober October, and I hope that you guys will continue on this journey with us and plug into that website, because that place is yours.
Do a 30-day challenge.
For sure. Have a wonderful Thursday. We'll talk to you soon.
Au revoir.
Bye for now.